start with we're going to focus on Kundalini. I don't know very much about it at all, only a little bit of what I've studied. So, how did you get started, and when did you get started, Doc?
Originally, I'm going to have to blame Ravi Shankar, believe it or not, for this. As a musician, I got interested in Eastern music, and I tuned my guitar into modal tunings like they do in foreign countries or in India. And a friend of mine at the University of Texas said our yoga society has brought over Dr. Vishnubai from India, and he's going to teach yoga, and that he plays a hand organ, a harmonium. And we've noticed that you play modal music, which goes along, and he would love to have you see if we could play music together. So I went up to Austin, and he brought out his harmonium and did some chants, and I played music with him, and we became great friends. And he taught me about yogas, the basic hatha yogas, about Indian eating and that type of thing. And so it was really through music that I got involved with yoga. And on my way to be with my cousin in California to do music in LA, for meal, and the cook comes out. He says, "Hey, I hear you're on the road. I loved your set. Why don't you come over to my place, get a shower?" Turned out his place was the 3HO Kundalini Ashram in Phoenix, Arizona. Again, music leading me into this yogic kind of bent, as it were. And that's how I got started with Kundalini Yoga. There at the Phoenix Ashram with Baba Dan, he began to teach us all the different yogas.
Was that your first exposure to yoga through Kundalini, or had you been doing the yoga before that?
No. Like I said, Dr. Vishnubai taught me Hatha Yoga. Before that, I had started way back in the 8th grade. I went to a Catholic church, and they had a little bookstore down from the school that I was attending. It was a military Catholic school. And I asked the librarian there, I said, "Listen, I'm interested in religion and all of autobiography of a yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda." Now, his yoga was called Kriya Yoga. It was pranayama. It was breath yoga. And in that yoga, he taught you how to offer your in-breath to the outside, to the breath that's coming into all that's outside of you. So when you breathe in, you're thinking, I'm offering out. You're giving energy outward. And when you breathe in, you're offering energy out. And when you breathe out, you're really bringing the energy in. And so
the Kundalini practice, typically with Tai Chi, it's it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication. How does that relate to when you start a Kundalini practice, and how do you progress? And is progression fast, slow, or what would you say?
The Kundalini Yoga is designed to open up all the nerves in the body for you to be completely relaxed, feeling good about yourself, good about what you've done, good about what you've eaten, good about who you've gone to bed with. The idea that getting all of the nerves in the body to not hold a blockage somewhere. Because if you're going to have the energy of the divine flow completely through you, have no neural blockages to that energy flow, you don't want to be crimped. The only way really to explain this is with analogy. I went online and I looked at all the explanations of Kundalini, and it's the same as the books I originally read. Ganglion group in the body open up simultaneously, and you have a climax. But yoga is not interested with just one area of the body. We'd like to open all the endocrine system nerves, all the organ system nerves. In Kundalini, you want to open up all the body's ability to flow. You don't want to have kidney stones. You don't want to have hate. And so any yoga that you practice is designed to give you neural strength, to cleanse the body of any blockages that are in the body, so that when you should be lucky enough, and believe me, it takes years to have a Kundalini Yoga experience. I was one of the best guys in the class. And by the way, there were 3 women that could outdo all of us guys. We find women are much more in tune and have neurological strength and stamina than the guys. And that was a big lesson for me to realize that when it comes to nerve strength, women are way ahead of us in their ability to concentrate and hold a thought and hold their position physically. They have a lot more nerve strength. So when you do Kundalini Yoga, all that's doing is cleaning, opening up the body. Religion in the United States in the early 70s. He had the most beautiful organization helping so many kids off the street. I mean, this guy really went into some bad places and turned everybody around, because no matter what problem you've got, whether it's PhD, whether it's ADD, whether it's a physical illness, nothing will get your mind to refocus like the kind of yoga that they've developed in these other countries. We all come from the same awareness, and that only by treating our world as we want to be treated do we have any control over our future. So Kundalini Yoga is a way to help the individual learn how he progresses in opening himself up to experiencing a relationship with the divine that is only talked about in scripture, like with Paul or the apostles, when the tongues of fire came down upon them and they had their Kundalini or energy, their nervous system totally open up, and they were facing the truth. When you face that truth, you lose fear. You're not scared of death. You're not scared of anything. You've gone beyond that. And when the apostles faced God, when God showed them his face, and they were face to face, those tongues of fire came down on their head. Paul was knocked off his horse and went blind for a couple of weeks when he had all his nerves open simultaneously. It changed their life. And I can tell you, my brother Dan, when I finally had my Kundalini rise and I had all these experiences, I knew now how someone could have their life totally transformed by an experience, where before it was just all theory to me.
It's always been explained to me that it's like a spiraling of energy from the bottom of your feet up to your head. Is that what you're describing as the feeling?
Exactly. Think of a magnet. If you're a magnet, the body is a magnet, and you have electrical energy swirling around you, doesn't that conform to their description of an electrical flow? Now, your nerves react to your electrical impulses. If you focus all of your electrical impulses, your nerves all focus together. When you focus at the center point where you perceive that divine frequency, remember, we only see a small part of the electromagnetic spectrum. At that higher frequency is the rest of the electromagnetic spectrum that the animals, that angels, that extraterrestrial, more evolved beings see. We are just limited to that little spectrum in the electromagnetic spectrum of sight. And what you want to do is open yourself up where all the energy and the magnetic flow of your body opens up all the nerves. You have no more distraction from your senses coming in. You're just wide open, and the energy flows up and around perfectly with no obstruction. And you just bask in the radiance of that moment. And it takes a lot of effort, a lot of strength to be able to handle such an experience.
Was there any indications working up to it that you were building to the point, or did it just happen?
Well, okay. So I'm in my class in the morning, first thing in the morning. You got an hour with Boaz. I'm doing my postures, doing my deep breathing as I'm doing each posture. I go into one of the postures, I come back out of it, and I go down and I hold my breath. Bam! Hits me like literally a freight train. My body explodes, the tingling, everything is light. There is no separation between you and eternal knowledge.
Okay, have you had training and experience in Tai Chi and some of the Chinese arts?
But so briefly, Don, really, Dan, I mean, really, it's my cousin Larry who lives. He bought the ranch up on top of the hill there from me. He is with doing Tai Chi for years. Him and his wife Laura. They did when they came here. We did Tai Chi with them every day. So I love Tai Chi. But again, though that's a good technique for all that it claims to be, it doesn't give you the neural strength that, let's say, was required to deliver a baby. There are other ways to get stronger. For instance, you can lift a 2-pound weight and your muscle gets so strong. Or you can lift a 10-pound weight. It's going to get stronger. You can stimulate the nerves with Tai Chi. They're going to get strong. You can stimulate them with Kundalini and deep breathing. They're going to get a lot stronger. It's just biology.
Do you recognize all of the chakras, that I hear about in the other yogas?
Absolutely. Yes, understand what chakras are, okay? As a therapist, we find out that your chakras are the endocrine parts of your body, the endocrine systems, the areas in your body where you secrete the hormones, the endorphins, the things that give you mood and feeling. Remember, pain is the measure of resistance to flow. If you've got pain in an area, it's not flowing well. Okay, so you want to do some type, either change your diet, change your habit pattern, increase in exercise, go to a therapist, but you want to get that flowing rather than let it build up more blockage in the area.
How would you explain to a layperson what yoga is? What is
yoga?
it?
Yoga is union. So if you practice yoga, you do everything you can to be as close to total awareness, not only in the world, but in your body. How aware are you of your body? Do you know that when you bend your hand back, you get to a point where there's pain? Now you're aware of your body. You have a limitation. If you want to increase your flexibility, yoga says the best way to do that, from my experience, is you go just to the point of pain. If you go further than that point and you tense up, worst thing you can do is to stretch yourself beyond your ability to enjoy and relax that nice feeling of pain. Now remember, the brain holds a memory on the in-breath. So when you're in the pain, take a deep breath, hold it for a second, feel the pain. Your brain goes, hey, I'm tense in that area. I need to do something about it. Your brain is the healer. Your awareness is the healer. When you become aware you have a constriction, stretch it, open it, change your diet, drink some tea, whatever. And that is yoga. The removal of blockage and restriction in the body through what
You had also mentioned here about yoga practices, and you mentioned a little bit earlier about no fear of dying, or understanding of the death process, and that type of thing. So
in Kundalini, when all your nerves are open, I have read on the internet, I have heard over and over again the near-death experiences of people who have been on the operating table, have been in an accident, and have gone through the veil of death, and have then come back to report on what they've discovered. So many of them have descriptions that match completely with the Kundalini experience, the after dying experience. But the physical experience, which can be rather traumatic or quite simple, depending on how attached the individual is to his body that he's created. If he's willing to go to his awareness, that's not much of a problem. But Kundalini Yoga specifically designs to take you into that after death state, so that you become familiar with what it is to leave all your nerves behind, to not be restricted by your nerves, to face what you've made others feel in this life, are confused about the word God. Let me clarify that. I've done a lot of research on the internet about that. I've asked people from all over the world about that. And one thing no one objects to is when I ask them, is God the name for awareness itself? Now, the only thing I have to go on is God is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. So far, the only thing I found that everyone agrees is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent is awareness, because if it is omnipresent, we're all looking through it right now. If it is omniscient, all knowledge is accessed through it. Omniscient. If it is omnipotent, the next step you take will be determined by it alone, your awareness. When you die, all that you've gained for God's eternal awareness is your life. But you go back to all the lives that you've led, unless you hold guilt, you hold regret, you feel ashamed, you won't look up at the Creator because you can't look into the face of Jesus and see only love because you don't think you're worthy. See, it's up to you. You're the one who determines your next direction, whether alive or dead. And in determining in your life how to live so that you can open to the presence of the Lord's eternal awareness.
Yeah, but if a person wanted to get in to understand Kundalini Yoga, what would be their best path to do that?
Go online, look it up. Look up the 3 HO ashrams, Healthy, Happy, and Holy organization. It's the 3 HO
Okay.
ashrams, and internet will take you right to it. They've got lectures, they've got classes. If you want to study Kundalini Yoga, the Surat Shab Yoga for meditation, the Kundalini might be a little severe for people. You've got to be pretty healthy in order to be able to handle the kind of neural discipline that it takes to lock in and clean the whole body within let's say a year's time. Their yoga 3 times a day is that powerful. It can do that. But it's a big commitment. You can't really do anything else in life. You have to be committed to doing 3 sessions of Kundalini Yoga a day. But I would recommend, for meditating, for the householder, for the person who wants to tune into the frequency wherein his next awareness is waiting, I would Google Radha Swami, R-A-D-H-A, Radha, R-A-D-H-A, S-O-A-M-I, Swami, S-O-A-M-I, Radha Swami. Now, you'll get a bunch of books. This group isn't even online. They won't let you be online in this group, okay? But through the books that they offer you, they have all the information about the organization and other things. You only need the books, and they charge nothing, by the way. This is a group that doesn't want any of your money. You're lucky if you can even talk to anybody in it. But their books have such great information about tuning into the frequency of the eternal, what we call God's word, the Om, how to really connect and meditate on those frequencies to expand your awareness of what they offer, rather than being limited to just this part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Anytime. This is more fun than I've had in 10 years.
That's great, because we're here trying to take and help with any type of personal development that can be found, can be used. There's a lot of people out there that have a lot of needs, and there's a lot of help out there if they knew where to go. So that's what we're trying to put together.
Well,